nobody can actually say who the deep state is.
Silicon Valley AI people have almost like a weird cult.
So would you say like America is headed towards a surveillance state, or you think it is?
There are no laws right now with AI saying what they can or can't do with the data.
Like they're using that information on their own citizens.
Like technically it would be hard for me to even prove to you that I'm sentient.
Do you think aliens exist?
I think they're probably... Some people are like, yeah, they're going to wipe us out, so bring them over here. I feel like the biggest problem is not that AI exists. It's just that our government... But if like the technology the military has is, let's say, won't be revealed to us for another 30 years. It's 30 years ahead of time. That could be... Who even knows what that is?
Bill Gates' venture aims to spray dust into the atmosphere to block the sun. What could go wrong?
Whatever. He's on the Epstein list.
What's up, guys? Really quickly, before you get into this episode, I wanted to say thank you for the 200 followers on Instagram. It means the world. I can't wait to just be moving up in the world. And, you know, this is just going to hopefully getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Dan Scott made another comeback, and this is where we talked all things big tech, AI, stuff going on with the FBI, Epstein. Hope you enjoy it. See you in the next one. Peace. So, think about this before we even get into Kash Patel. Like, why would an FBI director go on a podcast? Like, it's weird.
It is. I guess it's the new kind of way to bring support to your
I'm like, that has to.
administration.
Is it like Is that propaganda essentially?
Yeah.
Like you saw the Bibi Netanyahu going on the Nelk Boys, which
Yeah,
Shane was
we've
like, "You
talked
have to
about
watch
that,
this.
yeah.
You have to watch him on the Nelk Boys." I'm like, "No, dude, I'm gonna get pissed." And then I see just the trailer, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, like Burger King's better than McDonald's, Benjamin Netanyahu. That's your worst take and whatever."
Yeah, no. I watched 10 minutes of
like,
that podcast.
I'm
just
so
'cause
angry.
You were so fired up about it. I wanted to see.
Right,
what
I
was
felt
going
bad
on.
because I came in your apartment, and Shane's like, "Ben, what do you think about this?" And I'm like, "Oh my god!" Like.
Yeah, no, there's no educational value to be derived from that podcast.
Dear God, man. So, all this being said, with Kash Patel, the head of the FBI, going on Joe Rogan's show, I'm like, he's definitely going there to do, not damage control, but I don't know. Like, you see, he comes in like he's wearing like normal civilian clothes and whatever. And so this is when I'll start to bring up some stuff. So this was Kash Patel. He went on Sean Ryan's show like a year or two before he even became like was in the running for this this job. So
Kash Patel is going to be my guy to lead the FBI. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but I'm glad it did. So here's a little snippet of who Kash Patel is.
The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big. And the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops.
That sounds wonderful.
So that was his first, and I remember I had never heard of this guy, to be honest, because like I said, I've only been paying attention to politics and stuff going on in America the last 2 years, which is, sad being,
Yeah,
27
I don't
now.
think he was really super prominent for that long, though, because I haven't heard about him until recently either.
Yeah, so it's interesting. So just think of that concept of him saying, "I'm going to open this actually, there's another quote or another part where he reiterates himself, and he says an effing museum, and that's like, okay, like when I originally was like, holy cow, because I'm like, at the time I'm like, if Trump won, like he's like kind of a guy that like, or he markets himself as a guy who flips over tables politically in a way.
Yeah, and Trump also markets himself as that kind of guy.
Yeah,
with like the clearing the swamp and all of that.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, even better said. So this is the deputy. The deputy director.
Let that story go. Keep your eye on this. There are a lot of people who are knee deep in the Washington swamp who are not telling you the truth about serious allegations out there that Epstein may have had video and audio of people out there doing things they shouldn't have been doing. And you should be asking yourself the question, how is it that all these people, the CIA director, the Obama fixer, Bill Clinton, all in...
You
Yeah.
get the idea.
Well, we can talk about Pam Bondi.
Oh, we're getting there. We're getting there,
Okay.
Dan. So what are your thoughts? Like, when I didn't know, so I guess Dan Bongino, even before he got in, was way more like almost like conspiracy theorist, almost like accepting of the label, because I hadn't heard of Kash Patel. Apparently, like Tim Pool, like he had done several interviews with him, and like I think Dan Bongino had a podcast for a while. So, sorry, those are the notes. We'll get to those in a sec. It's my kind of mind blowing to see, like they're coming in with once again like an FU to the deep state or whatever. And sometimes I hate saying that because nobody can actually say who the deep state is.
Right.
Like, do you ever think about that or have any thoughts of like who the deep state could be?
Yeah, it's just like saying they. It's just super generic.
Oh my gosh. All right, so now this will be the big one to react to. So I think this is the link where they both go on Fox, and guys, my listeners, watch this switch up. Like it's I don't know what to do with this.
You said Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide. People don't believe it.
Well, I mean, listen, they have a right to their opinion, but as someone who has worked as a public defender, as a prosecutor, who's been in that prison system, who's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center, who's been in segregated housing, you know a suicide when you see one, and that's what that was.
He killed himself.
Dude, so that's actually, they're both sitting right next to each other. And it's just like, dude, look at his face, man. Like, he looks, and many people have said this, but think about like the FBI, CIA, like these people, like they're the ones that they study like the human body and psychology and posture and the way you deliver speech and whatnot. And it's just that they look.
Again, you want me to get... I've seen the whole file. He killed himself.
It's a shame, but I feel like in Trump's first term, he definitely hired a lot more like competent, well-known people.
Yeah.
And he got into arguments with them, and they all hated him by the end. So in his second term, he brought along more people who would be loyal to him. Yeah. Who would kind of follow around with his line.
Yeah. And one thing I didn't even have in the front of my mind either is that guy, Mike Pence, I shouldn't say that guy, his ex-vice president.
Yeah.
He was the one who did not confirm, like,
he didn't
the whole fact of him trying to say that the election was faked, to claim that it was.
Yeah.
He's the one who didn't pass it, right?
And that's, I think, the major reason why he hates him now, and he doesn't want anything to do with him.
Absolutely. So, and once again, maybe in the future I will do an Epstein deep dive at some point, depending upon how I feel about it. But the way that this is being handled...
Well, the one thing I do want to... I don't know if you're going to bring up the video they released. The FBI released a video that was missing.
Keep talking.
2
I'll try to pick...
in 18 seconds. I just wanted to talk about that because I felt like that was a really like incompetent moment for the FBI because they just left the metadata inside the video that they edited. So it took like an hour for people to figure out that it was a spliced video.
Footage of the jail cell where Jeffrey Epstein was being held the night he committed suicide. The video was released by the Department of Justice to prove that no one entered Epstein's cell before he was found dead, and that he really did take his own life. But it's only fueling more conspiracy
Right,
theories.
so...
Look, the video jumps just before 11:59 to midnight.
It actually, there's actually apparently 3 minutes missing.
Tried to explain the missing minute.
Right, here we go.
The video is reset, and every night
I'm going to unload them.
minute missing.
I spoke with forensic.
Okay, so I don't know. We don't have to pull up every single video on it. Like I said, if there's other parts that we need to visualize it for people, that's fine. But with that part where they just like I said, this was Inside Edition. Shout out to them. I'm stealing your info, or your media, whatever, your content. No worries though.
Fair use.
They're worried about it. So I hate it when she goes and she tries to explain, or this reporter asks, like, one of the reporters over, this was, like I said, this is more like a month ago now, and now it's kind of basically completely, well, it's not completely shut down, but for the lack of, to not dwell on the whole like ins and outs of everything, Trump basically, so the reporter throws this question to Pam Bondi, and then Trump's like, hey, can I speak for you? And she's like, oh, sure, backs, of course she is, going to the president, because who wants to answer that and do those verbal gymnastics and whatever. And Trump comes in and says, are we still talking about this Jeffrey Epstein guy? And then it's like, dude,
Yeah.
dude, it's not. It's well known that you've known him for 10 years, and you guys were friends for 10 years. And yes, like, let's be honest. Okay, Trump doesn't drink and he doesn't smoke or whatever, but it's like, dude, you're a billionaire. You were into girls. Like, now we don't know how young the girls were and whatever. I'm saying, and this is a question which I would throw to you. So from my own personal opinion, I believe that he's in the Epstein files. But aren't there like a lot of proxy people in the Epstein files? Because it's just
yeah. Well, he would definitely be in the Epstein files just because he's a known associate for such a long amount of time.
Right.
So even if you go with the most generous interpretation that he somehow didn't know that one of his greatest friends was doing this kind of stuff,
yeah,
then he still would show up in the files. But
right. And so have you been aware of this really quickly, not to cut you off? Were you going to add something else to that?
I was just going to say, but it's hard to believe that he couldn't know, that he could be that close. And
well, what about that reaction, though? It's like, we still talking about, dude, I'm like, so they talked about this on several different platforms or whatever, which is interesting because, like, you see a ton of Democrats now, like, caring about it. And I thought for the longest time, a lot of Republicans are, like, I think his base is a little bit divided on this. To be honest, and for me, it's hard because I once got I'm trying to think the best way to put it. Like, I was talking to someone about it, and they were explaining to me how I was probably being super emotional about it when I was saying about all these, this rampant like deviancy in America and how there's no accountability and whatnot. And when it comes to specifically Epstein, Trump didn't run on it himself, but his administration ran on it. And so I remember like reporters and other people would be like, are you willing to release the 9/11 files, the JFK files, the MLK files, all that stuff? And I think they just handled it poorly, and I think they miscalculated how much the public would really care about it, because I mean, it's so obvious at this point that there's something there. And once again, we go back to Pam Bondi, right? So I'm not sure where you would fall on this, but
Pam Bondi, I felt like the specifically offensive thing about that to me was that the switch up wasn't like a couple of years ago she ran on being Epstein didn't kill himself, and then she's changed her mind over years of looking at the files. No, it was like a week before. It was a week before she was claiming that Epstein killed himself, and there was no list of clients. Go back 1 week. She was saying, I have the files on my desk. They just delivered a truckload of files. Yeah. So what happened to that?
And so now the narrative is we have 10,000 hours of, Jeffrey Epstein having, doing his thing. What was the exact phrase she could use so I could be fair to, because now they shifted it to like him abusing people and I'm trying to think what the actual phrase was, but now they changed it from 10,000 hours of him like, raping and sexually assaulting, and now it's, he just had 10,000 hours of pornography. And it's like, no, I mean, let's be honest here. It's like, pick your poison, obviously. But it's interesting how I'm like, so if we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, right? So, and say they misspoke or whatever. So the first thing that she said then, so there are files on my desk. So I'm like, the first time you said that, if I'm being gracious to the FBI's, so you didn't actually have all these files on your desk. So you lied about that. See, it's lying either way now because the switch up is so bad. Sorry, it took me a second to get there, guys. I was Having a brain fart. I have one other link with Pam Bondi. I'll pull this up real quick, and if not, I'll edit it out.
If there was a video of some guy or gal committing felonies on an island, and I'm in charge, don't you think you'd see it?
Tens of thousands of
Here we go.
videos of Epstein with children or porn, and there are hundreds of victims.
Yeah, and there's testimony from one of the victims that he did have hidden cameras all over.
That's not even a mystery, dude.
Yeah.
We could go look up, like, and some of these rooms are the cameras are pretty like they're like right like that sprinkler head. They're just like out there, you know? So I just for me my biggest qualm about it all, besides like the obvious stuff, is, dude, even a spiritual undertone is like, dude, this is like terrible, terrible stuff. And from what I hear is that now, like, America has a big sex trafficking problem. And the thing is, it's like, it wasn't just like the sex trafficking going on. It was about like, it was also abuse. Like, obviously it comes hand in hand, but that's one thing I don't understand. And when it comes to like the whole Jeffrey Epstein being, in a possible like asset or whatever, my thought is, so is he doing this on his own and he becomes an asset because what he's doing they can use for their own good? Or is it he's getting told to do all this heinous stuff because it doesn't matter, we need to have influence over different people in the American government?
It's kind of unclear at what point he got into contact with the people who are protecting him, but we know it was by the first time he got arrested for sexual assault.
That's like, I think early 2000s. 2005 or so.
And that was like a very specifically weird plea deal where none of the victims even knew that he got a plea deal, and he didn't have to stay in jail, he just had to sleep there. So he obviously had someone looking out for him by that point.
Yeah, and you can actually don't ask how I know. You can actually see pictures of like his body and whatnot. So the fact is, the people that would say, like far out there, people would say, "Oh, he's actually alive and he was a body double or whatever." Interesting things that people might not know as well is that, so Epstein did have, I think he did try to commit suicide at one point, like a month beforehand, but then right up into his death, he was meeting with lawyers because I think he probably thought he could beat it. I mean, look at, I don't want to talk about this other guy really because it just doesn't. I don't think it's really a much of a story. But did he? Like he knew he was gonna like be able to get it. Yeah. So,
and you know, it's not surprising to think why he might think that way because he'd always gotten off before. So
yeah,
unless he was specifically told something that we don't know.
Right. And so I said this when it came to the JFK assassination. Well, it is easy to become like a conspiracy theorist and all these things when it's just handled. It's a fumble. Like, I'm not sure what else to do, because if I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, like to the, specifically, and when it comes to FBI and CIA, like I would definitely be more trusting of the FBI than CIA with all the stuff that I've been finding out about them, which is interesting because after years and years, like all this stuff or some things become, declassified.
Yeah. I
had another link too about this woman, Virginia Giuffre. I think I said her name right. Do you know? Have you heard of her?
Remind me.
Or Virginia Giuffre. I won't pull up the link, but essentially she was one of the first people that it's been super outspoken against Epstein and was a victim. And I think she's in a couple of the documentaries because I think there's a picture with her and Prince Harry. Have you seen that?
I think I have seen that one actually. Yeah, that's the one where they're in the apartment.
Right, and Ghislaine's in the back. Isn't it crazy Ghislaine got caught in New Hampshire?
Yeah, that's
weird. But it would make sense. Like, why would you, like, New Hampshire, Wyoming, Montana, Dakota, like...
That's like kind of the media idea of New Hampshire. Like, when Walter White needs to hide out from the cops in the most remote place possible.
Right.
It's like New Hampshire. It's the same thing in The Sopranos.
I know. I really need to see that, by the way, The Sopranos.
Yeah, that's a good show.
I had one other quick thing where it's like Epstein, Young. What is this? Oh, this is actually this is Trump and Epstein.
Yeah,
at
this
a party.
This one's been going around a lot.
Is this the one where they're just like ogling women, essentially?
Yeah.
So this is early 2000s. Also, did I say this earlier? It was the early 2004 where Jeffrey Epstein was made a move for one of the towel girls at Mar-a-Lago. She was like 14, 15, and Trump was the one that kicked him out, humiliated him, and it was that and one other like business relationship with like a certain property that like made them have a big falling out.
Yeah, I think was it Epstein wanted to buy it and then Trump outbid him, or was it the other way around?
One of the two, yeah. But just it's so interesting, man, how just like being a lifetime that was on CNBC for anyone who wants to know. Oh, sorry, this says in 92. Wow, okay, that was so long ago. Yeah. And I just think it's very pretentious, and to use overused word in society these days, gaslighting. Where it's like, are you talking about Jeff? Dude, get the hell out of here, my brother. Like, there's just some stuff where we can move on from the Epstein thing. I'm just saying that like it's easy to jump on the conspiracy train, be like, ooh, what's going on? But I'm like, it's so much in our face, and for the last month, it was everywhere, dude. All the people. From PBD to people on the left like David Pakman, the Young Turks, Charlie Kirk was talking about stuff like this. Tim Pool, like all these different people from all sides of the aisle. You know who I love now too? Have you heard of Dave Smith?
I think I've heard you say his name.
You should listen to Dave Smith talk about Israel, man. He's doing his he's making his rounds and stuff. He's funny, like being a libertarian and everything. So anyways, to wrap all this up, so this woman, Virginia Guffey or whatever, she was one of the first people that stood up about Epstein, and recently she had someone like try to run her off this was, I think, I want to be right. So when did Virginia Guffey get run? So she got in a minor car accident on March 24th where a school bus hit the car she was in. The incident occurred in rural Western Australia, and while police were notified, they did not attend the scene due to the lack of reported injuries. So she had some bruising and returned home. So after this happened, that was reported by CNN for anyone who was curious. So that was, once again, March 24th of this year. And then about a week later, she posts that she's not suicidal, that she's worried about her safety and whatnot, and then she dies. She ended up dying of a suicide attempt, apparently, on April 25th, 2005, and so her family like denies it and whatnot, but it is super obviously it's super sketchy, but it's sad, man. Because with people that experience like this crazy abuse and like these like I don't know anything about this trauma and stuff. I've had super hard times in my life, but I have no stuff with like when it comes to like sexuality and whatever. It's so overbearing and just destroys you as a person, and that's just trying to like put yourself in their shoes. And I think it's super possible that like she was so she was eventually taken out, honestly. And the media at the time did not cover this for a while. Like, it very much flew under the radar because Epstein wasn't the thing at that point. So
yeah, that's a shame, because it's very, very brave to come out with that when it's name names that are like prominent, powerful people who
right. Yeah, and it's weird how to see it like to see like, obviously, you know, I feel like everyone with a podcast microphone, like, obviously this is a hypocritical statement, everyone, so don't roll your eyes too hard. But everyone wants to go and talk about the people that get away with, you know, murder and have no accountability. Nice, I picked my nose on camera. Jeez. I'll edit it out. But because I don't want to, I very much want to go down each trope and each talking point, which honestly, even though they're over talked about and oversaturated, they're not wrong in their statements. But what can we actually do about a lot of these things? You can talk about it, you can be knowledgeable, but when it comes to actually doing something about it, like they are trying to pass. Yeah, I guess I'm not really wrapping up this Epstein thing. Sorry, guys, but it's just the spiritual connotations of like deep, dark sexual abuse that's like in the open is unacceptable. And I think a lot of people do, because if you don't, like, when are you gonna like say enough is enough? I suppose so.
Right, but like also, you can't just sit there and be like, well, I guess that happened. I guess they have the power to do that, and we just have to sit here and not do anything about it. But it is frustrating.
Yeah. What do you do? So moving on to other things, Palantir and AI. So this is one of the things that we were also going to talk about while we were doing Bunker Boys, but we didn't get to it. So what do you know about Palantir and what's been going on? I've looked up a couple things, and I've got a little bit of info I can throw at you.
All right,
but
I know they're a newer player.
Yeah.
What do you got on them?
Cool. So I'll just start reading off a couple things, and we'll go from there. So basically, they just signed a new contract with the Pentagon, which is worth over $800 million. So these guys were actually, it was so interesting because a lot of Silicon Valley, like from what I've been hearing from certain other creators and podcasters, like they used to be a bunch of nerds and now they're going to be running the world in a way, you know?
Yeah.
So it was founded by these guys, Alex Karp and Peter Thiel. So Peter Thiel, like, these are like the PayPal guys and whatnot. And one thing that I wasn't aware of is that, do you know that Peter Thiel was the one who like really heavily financed J.D. Vance?
I didn't know that, no.
Yeah. And we were talking about Joe Rogan earlier. One thing I found, I'm super thirsty today. I don't know what it is.
It's hot out.
We're talking about when Joe Rogan wasn't pushing back against people. He was talking to another guest that asked him about it lately, and because he's also had guys like Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen. There's a couple other names that escape my mind, but big Silicon Valley, Elon Musk. And people say recently that Joe Rogan, like, he doesn't like push back on anyone anymore, which is tough because I'm like, dude, it's his podcast, he can do what he wants. But then also, like, he's trying to be informative. Like, you know, he had the guys like Robert Malone and all the COVID people on.
Yeah.
And now it's like, holy crap, I don't know what to make of it, because like your podcast does have so much power. But also think about like what we see online. Like Joe Rogan is, you know, he's an online guy, so it's like there's a lot of America that's not represented because there's so many people that aren't online, even though a ton of us kids are and whatever.
Yeah.
So I feel like, once again, with Joe Rogan, like I'm not, like I said, a super fan, but I do appreciate what he's done and whatnot, and obviously for podcasting, but it's getting to the point where like he just has people. It's like one of the criticisms I hear is that he agrees with whatever the last person was on said.
I can kind of agree with that. I felt like that even a while ago. I remember I like listened to his Ben Shapiro episode and then his Bernie Sanders episode pretty close together. And I didn't hate that he was like that, because I feel like he knows that he's not the most politically educated person. So it's good to just get all perspectives on the podcast. I just feel like lately he kind of has the same people on more often.
Right.
And he doesn't have as much of, you know, every perspective as he used to. He's gotten kind of lazy in that.
Yeah. So That's just kind of what I think. So
Yeah, and sometimes it's like I appreciate that kind of podcast, like the let's just talk and dick around and not have to fact check every single thing that we say. But once you get to a certain level of fame, it's like you say something on your show that isn't true. Like I remember a while ago was the rumor of like there's litter boxes in the bathrooms at elementary schools. Yeah. And then you say that just like because it's a funny story that you heard. You say it off the cuff, and then people are harassing the school, and it's a whole big thing because you're so famous that you just have that kind of influence to send out your army of fans.
Right. Yeah. So, but it was cool when everyone saw Elon Musk once again smoking a joint, like on Joe Rogan. Like that's a big, moment and whatnot. But it is interesting where it's like, well, I think we should start to push back. And this guy Peter Thiel, he's kind of starting to be like nefarious. I don't know, a little bit, because he's like a gay Christian in Silicon Valley. He's talking about the Antichrist all the time. I don't know if I can find
the people. I feel like the Silicon Valley AI people have almost like a weird cult like they believe AI is the next step in human evolution. So we have to get this out. Like it's not just a business. It's like for humanity kind of thing. It's kind of a weird and concerning.
Well, I don't know if it's Thiel or if it's someone else that's made like a couple strange comments about like the human race, and it's like,
yeah, I forget what he said. I know it.
Yeah,
what you're talking about.
I could look for it. But so going back to for Palantir, they won this, through Peter Thiel and other people. And this is where I'm like, at some point some people need to start like grilling them. Not in the case of like let's just play gotchas or whatever, but there's got to be times where, like, dude, you have all this money and all this power. There's got to be, with having that much responsibility or that much, obviously, I don't want to sound like a communist wealth or whatever. Like, you should be giving like interviews and like checkups for the public and different things. So this $823 million contract they signed it's a contract for data and analytical software. So have you ever watched this movie? A lot of people make this not segue, but example of Minority Report with Tom Cruise.
I haven't seen it, but I'm familiar with like the premise.
So essentially, like a police system that can like identify you through facial recognition and other things. So it was founded in 2003. So this was like basically this company came out of like 9/11. So it was worth only like 15 million a few years ago, and now it's worth, actually, let me look this up to just make sure, because I mistyped this. Palantir net worth. Okay, so it was worth 15 billion. That's what I meant to say, not million. 15 billion a few years ago, and now it's worth, according to, I had 300 written on here. As of August 9th, Palantir Tech has a market capitalization of 443 billion.
Jeez.
Makes it the 21st most valuable company in the world.
Hey, that's that defense money for you.
So a lot. There's like two different versions of these, like, for lack of a better word, I think AI programs. And so there's Gotham and Foundry. So this stuff is like predictive policing. So the AI predicts criminal behavior. So, and this is a direct quote from, I think their website, using real-time data integration along with AI to profile behavior, detect fraud, and identify individuals or patterns deemed risky by the system.
What does that exactly mean, though? That's the question.
Exactly.
Because, like, if I'm going to take another shot at Trump here, but we do have due process in the country, which is a very important thing to uphold. Like,
right.
Someone has to commit a crime and be charged, which is another scary part about AI, is because the AI video generation at this point is like almost good enough that
yes,
you could make fake evidence. Do you see all those, like, they're like joke videos people were making with the Epstein cell footage, where Randy Savage breaks down the door, or like just random characters are showing up.
Wow, that's crazy.
But like
man.
the quality is so high, and that's not available to consumers yet. Right now, consumers still just have like the basic image generation kind of stuff, and I think there are some video generation stuff you can get, but it's very expensive, like buying the tokens to do it. So that's the kind of thing where I feel like once the general public just kind of has access to that, that could have a lot of really bad consequences.
Yeah. And so this is something that you just gotta, it's not exactly the Jeffrey Epstein cell, but I sent this to my own account through Instagram. So this is like an AI video. When I first saw it, I didn't know it was AI.
This is Dana Brooks reporting live from Ocean View Beach. Just kidding. I'm not real. This is Charlotte Reed reporting live from Clearwater Beach, where an unidentified... Just kidding. I'm not real.
This is scaring the crap out of me.
Yeah, especially since I don't know if the people you're friends with on Facebook are like this, but like some of the older people I know are already falling for like already unconvincing AI videos. So like stuff that's obviously fake.
Wow. Because
So
when I first saw the first picture, I didn't know what I was looking at because I was just going through like, you know, it was doom scrolling. And then it's like, I'm not real. And I'm like, what is this, like satire? And then I was like, and it's weird because when you see the alien spacecraft come out of the ocean, when you see it up on here, like it looks like, it kind of looks cool actually. But on the phone, I was like, okay, then that makes sense. But I was, the whole thing, like, I'm not real. I'm like, I don't know what this is. There was one of these things that, this I think was also AI, this video. Or no, actually... Oh, sorry. No, this was just a random DM I sent. This is a volcano that exploded in Indonesia. Mount Loatobi. Laki is... I'm not even going to mention it. But hey, cool thing of it exploding. So anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, AI.
AI, yeah.
So do you see a lot of AI stuff on your feed and stuff? Like, are you on Instagram?
I'm not using Instagram that much. I just was on Facebook. I haven't really been on Facebook that much in the past, like 5 years, maybe longer. But I just was randomly on it just to kind of see what was going on. I saw so much AI stuff, just like AI videos of like, oh, this kid in Africa, look at what he built. And it's like, I don't know. There's something about it. I don't know what it is. You can tell when something's like a bad AI image.
Yeah.
It has like a certain look to it.
But it's like, dude, my AI girlfriend, my AI fill in the blank.
Yeah. AI girlfriends and AI therapists are the next.
Oh, AI therapists?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
That's already becoming a thing, which is not good because the AIs are kind of designed to be, they call it sycophantic. So they will always agree with you. So if you...
Oh, so they're just validating.
Yeah. If you describe a situation where person A did one thing and person B did another thing, maybe they both did something wrong in the situation, it might be able to give an objective analysis. But if you say I, if you replace it with I and then someone else, more often than not, it depends on the AI, what model it is, the version, of course, all that stuff. But most of them will just validate what you want to hear because that's what gets you to... It's like anything else. It's engagement. They want you to engage with the bot for as long as possible.
Jeez, dude, that's crazy. So yeah, a couple other things too about you know, stuff Palantir is working on. So also their guy Alex Karp, he was worth under $1 million just or about 20 years ago. Now he's worth $13 billion. So you just see the skyrocketing of wealth, value, and net worth through people. And you know, for being, you know, so influential, like, and how, like I said, the companies like that, Sam Altman, OpenAI, there's this other AI called Clearwater, which has to do with military stuff as well. So also through here, so Palantir, their actual, which is funny because like going back to the whole nerd thing, it was called Palantir based off of Lord of the Rings.
Really?
Yeah. So
what is Palantir in the Lord of the Rings lore?
Palantir is like an all-seeing stone. in Lord of the Rings that Saruman has. And, like, depending upon whose hands it's in, like, it's literally talked about this in Lord of the Rings. It could be used for good or it could be used for bad. And I'm going to talk just a little bit I'm going to reference it at least when the 9/11 podcast comes out. But the Patriot Act was a huge, kind of the beginning,
the beginning of the end of privacy.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the Patriot Act and
I think
how it's evolved?
I don't know. I think it's like blatantly unconstitutional, the Patriot Act, like the right to privacy and just the right to speech that isn't monitored. And yeah.
Well,
hold on, let me organize.
I think, when it comes to well, it's not just speech. Like when we're talking about predictive AI, it's like they can look at like it can like make judgments upon like, I don't know, your mental health the last month and in your ability, like if you're going to commit like if I'm gonna rob this store, or look at your, I don't know, what levels are that you can see in a human before they're about to like do something violent or like erratic. I forget, but I would say so would you say like America is headed towards a surveillance state, or you think it is? Because, dude, should I pull up some videos of China?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think it is. I think there are levels to this. We aren't at the level of China yet. Like, I would recommend people use VPNs at this point if you care at all about, like, I don't want people to be able to see all of my search history and all my data. But, like, in China, you literally, you can't access the American internet without a VPN because there's a firewall. Like, only keeping in the Chinese internet separate from everything else, which it is easier to get a VPN in China than I think people realize. Like, a lot of people do get them. Yeah.
Well, here's something I want to tell you that's it pissed me off and scared me at the same time. I had a coworker the other day, and this was probably around a month ago as well, where he just came up to me and he goes, "Oh, hey, Ben," and then he tells like the old address that two of my old addresses, two of my aunt's names, two of my sister's names, and lists my mom and my dad, and he listed 3 out of 4 of my emails. And then I'm like, "Dude, what the hell is your problem? Like, I don't even know your last name." And he's like, "Oh, it's like, da 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 da," and then I put my stuff down. I pulled him aside. I'm like, "Dude, what's going on?" I was like, "Dude," I just said "dude" a lot. Sorry, guys. Trying to work on my speech. The reason why he knew all this is that he had he paid for not an app, but it was a certain engine online when he would do a lot of transactions and meetups for different Facebook Marketplace stuff. So he's like, "Oh, I've had it since I've been 13. This guy's like 25 or pretty close to our age. And he's like, "Oh, I pay for this for like $3. It's called like Seek Me or whatever." And then I was like,
"Yeah,
that's messed I'm like, up. Dude, you're actually." He's like, "Oh, I don't care, Ben," or whatever. And he's like, and I was telling this other guy, one of my other coworkers, about it, and I said, "Hey, I'll go show you Sontag." And then he goes and pulls up. He pulls up. It took him a couple minutes, but I'm like, well, I wasn't believing him at the time. I was super pissed because I'm like, I don't know what to do, or I was kind of like dumbfounded. And then he pulled up like an arrest warrant of someone else that like worked here like from like years and years ago, like, tickets, violations, all this stuff. And I was like, for $3. So when I saw everything that he said or that he put out there, I'm like, that's basically everything, man, except for my bank account and like search history.
That might be like, I feel like a lot of our security systems are kind of outdated at this point, because like the idea of security questions, like what's your parents' maiden name, what's the first street you lived on, that's not even like information that only you can know anymore. That's information that anyone can know. And looping back around to like the AI therapists, which I was telling you about earlier, right now if you talk to a real therapist, there's like therapist-client confidentiality. There's laws about that kind of thing. So theoretically, even if there isn't a data breach, maybe they could be subpoenaed for that kind of data and the government could get it. So everything you're saying to your AI therapist, imagine if everything in all of your therapy sessions was just public information.
Oh,
and for some people who don't really understand what they're doing, they're just putting their information into the system, and who knows what they're doing with that. All these new companies that are popping up, when they need more money, are they going to sell that data off?
Right. So, and that's what's happening with Palantir. So they're a privatized company, but they've been they were originally used by the department. So one of the programs, Gotham, that was used by the Department of Defense, and now it's being used in like the domestic side of things. And like they're using that information on their own citizens, on us, and it's like, oh my gosh. But then when I think about it, like look at parts of the world where there's like rampant crime. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. It's one of those things where you have to ask, do you really think, how much safer do you think you are with all of these surveillance cameras and these police apps that tell them where the crime's going to be? Like, there's still systemic problems. There's still gangs that exist.
Yeah,
even with all the technology we have now, the cops basically have like military equipment in a lot of places, and we still are not like close to the stopping crime.
But yet we have like, we don't know who's on the Epstein list.
Yeah, well, of course, like, those are protected people.
Yeah.
So. That's completely different.
I don't know, man. So some other funny things is that, yeah, overall this whole it's like I just don't want to think about it. Also, I didn't go to college, so it's not like I'm going to be able to do much, obviously. But even some of these things where when I brought this up on our last podcast, when I was talking about in like the 70s or 80s, like at Area 51, they were working on the Blackbird, and the Blackbird was like a plane that could like break the speed of sound at. Let me see how actually. I think it was Mach 2. Blackbird speed. Yeah, so 220 or 2,200 miles an hour. So this thing. And that was in like the 70s and 80s. So this is when DARPA comes in, right? So I mentioned this to you the other day, or probably a little while ago, because I had heard of DARPA through other, from other podcasters that I follow. And I've seen, like, I know that they're basically, DARPA stands for the...
I don't remember what it stands for, but they were crucial to like the early internet. Like DARPANet was one of the earliest forms of when it was just different colleges communicating with each other.
Yeah. So basically DARPA just stands for the Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. So this is basically all of the high tech, the most highest security clearance to ever work on. And that's my thing with UFOs is like, maybe if we have time, maybe we'll talk about some UFO stuff, but there's I bet we have technology that's actually high tech enough. Like if I saw it, I'm like, this is literally an alien spaceship or spacecraft, because I don't know what to do. I think there's even like we had B-2 bombers in the 60s, 70s, something like that.
Yeah,
let me fact check myself again.
We're in such an unstable period of time, I feel like, where something that is just normal nowadays, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe even 5 years ago, it's like magic.
Okay, I messed up on the B-2 bomber, by the way. It entered service in 97, but it could have been, in the works for a while. Sorry to cut you off.
But if like the technology the military has is, let's say, won't be revealed to us for another 30 years, it's 30 years ahead of time. That could be, who even knows what that could be.
So that's what I would say DARPA is that it's people say it's up to 25 to 50 years in advance. So what do you think about, you ever like thought about or heard about anti-gravity?
Yeah.
Like propulsion and whatnot. Obviously, I'm swinging way above my belt here. Like, where have you heard about it, and what have you seen?
Like sci-fi stuff, mostly.
Okay, because I heard these strange narratives that it's possible the Nazis could have been working on like anti-gravity stuff in the 40s and 50s.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I know they're working on all sorts of crazy technologies.
Right. And one book that I, read through Audible was Operation Paperclip, which talks about all these Nazi scientists we brought over, after World War II. And it's so interesting to me, just these, like, I call it forbidden history. It really isn't, but it's just not well probably talked about, or, it's just, it's easy to scrutinize and stuff with people like the Nazis. But if you really think about it, which makes sense, is that once World War II happened and ended in Germany, the Nazi regime, what I am blowing, what's the Nazi regime called? I'm having a brain fart.
Third Reich.
Thank you. Jeez, Ben. Dumbass. Once the Third Reich disbanded, you're just going to let these, like, this precious... And at the time, right, Germany was way more advanced than America was, right? Like, I assume they were the most...
Because our dominance didn't start until after the Second World War, pretty much, when Europe was... We got a lot of shit from them, and Europe was in a rough spot, so...
So one of the things that I have found interesting in this Area 51 book is Roswell, the Roswell crash.
Yeah.
So that happened it was New Mexico, wasn't it?
Yes.
And so they basically they've claimed to found a spaceship with actual bodies in it, right? And so my thoughts about that are, I think they were probably children that were mutated through, good possible victims under Mengele or other people that were used, from the Russians as like propaganda to throw at the U.S. and make a whole scene about it. There's more stuff that I could go into about it, but that's the basic that I remember.
That's
do you have any?
I've never heard that theory. I've definitely heard the idea that, like, a lot of what people think are UFO sightings are just U.S. military vehicle sightings that obviously can't be revealed.
Yeah, and if I had a better, like I said, as we have a better when I get to a better setup, we can like react to more videos on the screen. I know people can see it through there, but I would just like to be even better where we'll be like, okay, what do we think will go down? Like, which of these alien videos look possible and whatnot? And, these moods, once again, not to bring it back to Joe Rogan, but he's having these guys like David Grush, who were like, UFO whistleblowers. And remember, UAPs was a huge thing. Was that the beginning of this year? Like when we were talking about drones and stuff?
Was it this year?
It might have been, or it could have been the end of 2020. It's 2025, so yeah, probably was late 2024. Because that was like a rage. Everyone was talking about UFOs, and it's interesting how that whole drone swarm just kind of went away, you know. And now drone warfare is very popularly used now, especially in Ukraine. I'm sure the U.S. is probably sending drones to people all the time. And even, once again, too, that I've been looking at in regards to, like, the 9/11 podcast, is that right after 9/11 happened, like, that's when we started sending over the U.S. Predator. No, not the U.S. Well, they are from the U.S., but it's not a Predator spy planes. And so these spy planes, these are the ones that at the beginning time didn't have missiles, but then, shortly after 2001, through I believe through DARPA and through, honestly, out of Area 51, like, these things would be, I don't know if it was with you or other people, or when I was talking about, remember how, through Bush's campaign, that was, in hindsight, it's looked on quite disfavorably.
Yeah.
And then, staunch Republican, like a cowboy, like he had like a cowboy, foreign policy or whatever. And then Obama comes in and the drone strikes don't stop. In fact, they go up.
Right.
And Obama ran on practically being anti-war, right?
Right. He was on closing Guantanamo and ending the war in Afghanistan.
Neither of those happened, right?
Neither of those happened. No.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
KSM's still in Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, that's the thing I always say when people talk about like how much power does the president have? Well,
right.
It feels like our foreign policy kind of stays the same no matter who's in office.
So, and that's where I'm like, you go back to JFK, man. It's like, that's why I think he got killed, because he went against the system and being, it's like, okay, you climb the political ladder as best you can, and then you get in there and there's 20 people that aren't president but are, career politicians in there that you have to go and please, else they're going to make your life nightmare. And you see all this stuff, like you see the pictures of presidents when they get in and then when they get out. Like Obama, what age was he when he became president?
I don't know, in his 50s, I think. But yeah, he had a youthful look to him. He was the young senator.
He was 47 when he became president, and then 55 when he left, and he looks like an old man now.
Yeah, I imagine it's tough just because, like, you don't want to just trust the military leaders to always know the best course of action, but also they have been in power for a long time. They know what they're talking about. You probably feel like a fish out of water for like a large amount of your presidency. Like at least the first couple years, you're just being dropped into total power, and you have all these people kind of tugging you in different directions all the time.
Dude, and this is what blew my mind. Once again, I watched this documentary called The World According to Dick Cheney. It's on Prime. And it showed this whole side of Bush that I wasn't aware of, where Bush came in as like a really inexperienced governor from Texas. And Cheney came in originally unwillingly because he tried to run for president on his own. It didn't work out. He was brought in as this experienced guy that would really help. And really in his first term was super, not equal to the president or whatever, but that's why he is known as the most, he was so experienced because he was Secretary of State, he was Chief of Staff, he was all these other things. And, it's easy to just throw the name Cheney around and it's, like saying other words, it's like, it's very much like carries a dark, sinister weight to it. And going back to DARPA, so they were founded in 1958, and they were formed in response to the Sputnik. And so an interesting thing about DARPA too, so it's really hard to find a lot of stuff about them because they are the highest, like the highest security clearances in the world. There's like really not much you can know about them, but there is some cool, I do have a list of cool innovating tech actually that they did themselves. So
all right, let's see
right here. So not all 10 are like super engaging, but so once again, founded in 1958 as ARPA as a direct response to the Sputnik, but they were a big part of the space race. So they actually invented the internet way before we ever got access to it. So just think about that in and of itself.
Well, it makes sense because the internet was first invented kind of for military purposes.
Right.
Just because like communication is such an important thing. Like there's so many battles throughout history that have been won or lost just due to poor communication.
Right.
So the idea of instantly sending a message to someone who's 10 miles away, you can see why the military would think that's extremely valuable.
Absolutely, man. And so look at this stuff like GPS, like all this stuff. Big Talk, which is a Boston Dynamics robot.
The robots, yeah. Those you might also see in wars at some point too.
I have seen them. I think they have them in Ukraine actually.
Yeah.
There's like super crazy, and we'll have a couple of videos of some some other stuff. So cyborg insects. If you thought a headless dog robot was strange, the research DARPA has done is even weirder. In 2006, wow.
I haven't heard anything about this one.
It was looking for researchers who would help it find a way to implant technology into an insect's body. Oh, okay. I totally misread that or misthought what it was originally going to be. While it's left in its pupa, thus turning into a cyborg. Successful entrants had to deliver the insect to within 5 millimeters of a target. Wow. Okay, graphical user interface and mouse. Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Onion routing. Do you know what that is?
That is, so yeah, Tor browser, that's like dark web stuff, deep web, which is useful for security, but also for criminal activity, obviously.
Right. The human universal load carrier is an exoskeleton intended to help soldiers carry load up to 90K at the speed of 10. Okay, wow. Siri, that's right. Wow. Apple's digital virtual assistant started life as a DARPA project in the early 2000s. Wow.
Yeah. That's the funny thing about the term AI also, is that it just keeps getting kind of reused. Like what we have right now, you could describe it as generative AI, probably more specifically, but like this Siri was like the first version of that.
Well, just think about it. If we have access to AI, then what does the military have?
Yeah.
So this last cool one, right? The Sea Shadow, the U.S. Navy. So this is a certain vehicle, like military project. So in the 80s, the U.S. military and the Navy and the military hardware manufacturer Lockheed Martin came together to develop an experimental stealth boat. DARPA was no stranger to creating stealth vehicles. Exactly, I meant to say that earlier when I referenced the B-2 bomber. Yeah, and there's like a certain like paint that they have that they put on the actual planes themselves, which helps with like avoiding radar detection. So I'll show you a picture of this thing. It's actually like really cool. Some people say it looks like it's out of Star Wars, but this is the picture.
Yeah, it's very angular.
Wow. Isn't that crazy? How is it? What's going on in the water? And this was like 80s stuff. One thing that's always like, creeped me out actually is submarines. There's actually a guy that goes here that I might be having on at some point that worked on a nuclear sub.
Yeah, I think Shane knows someone who worked
on
a sub. Yeah, it sounds like a miserable job. It's literally like,
I bet.
It's like putting yourself in jail as a job because you're just stuck in like 1 or 2 rooms and it's cramped and you're just
oh my god,
underwater. Dude. It's like being in space basically. Yeah.
Dude, speaking of this, I saw the new really quickly. This is a rabbit trail. I saw the new Mission Impossible movie. There is this subsequence with Tom Cruise that is the most unrealistic thing I've ever seen. Spoilers ahead if you've watched it. It's not that crazy of a spoiler. So he has to go and get this. He has to retrieve something in this nuclear submarine and whatnot. So he's given all this like equipment or whatever, but he has to be like lightweight and whatnot. But he's on like a time frame clock, so he has like 19 or 20 minutes to do it. I forget the exact time, but the sequence itself, actually, and I looked this up, the sequence itself is longer than the actual time that he has to do it. So he goes into the submarine and whatever, but it's like it's an old like Soviet submarine or whatever, and it has nukes in it. So basically it's like sitting on the shelf, right? This is the submarine, and the shelf goes down here. Of course, at the end of the shelf is another drop into the next Marianas Trench or whatever. So as he's like looking for stuff or whatever, he's having trouble. So he has to just all these crazy things happen where he like he's like running out of like oxygen or can't fit into this one spot. So he takes off his whole thing and is holding his breath. And then he takes off his like shirt as well. I'm like, dude, you're in the Arctic Ocean. And then the sub starts like moving and spinning downward, and it's got nuclear warheads in it. So they're like clanging around, and he's like getting thrown around as this is all happening. And it's just this wild sequence. And then at the end, like I said, this is only halfway through the movie, he somehow gets out, and like I said, and as he's like like getting out of the submarine as it's like falling into the depths of, you know, water hell, whatever. He said he takes off his. I'm like, dude, you're in the Arctic. Like, it's probably 40-degree water, or I don't know actually. Now that I said it, I want to know how cold the Arctic is.
You got to imagine, yeah.
How cold is?
I haven't seen the movie, but it must have been like pretty close to the surface too, because nuclear subs can go pretty deep underwater, like deeper than you can swim.
Yeah. Look at this. The waters of the Arctic Ocean are extremely cold, with surface water temperatures averaging around -1 or 28 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the freezing point of seawater. How long could a person last in the Arctic? How long could a human last in?
I don't know. People do like they dip themselves in freezing water for like 30 seconds.
Wow, I'm typing good. Only a few minutes to a couple hours. Wow, depending on various factors.
So depending on not having no shirt on, probably.
Yeah. So it was mind blowing to me. And then it's basically the death scene where he's like floating up to the top, but it's all ice, so he can't get out. And he's been holding his breath now for 4 or 5 minutes after, like, it just effing ridiculous. So he like goes up to the ice, and then like it does a cut scene, and then someone found him and brings him back to life. And I'm like, what, dude? I love Mission Impossible movies, and I've had to, with some people that we know, I've had to like fight for their honor, because some people don't give them the respect that it does. But plus at the end, there's a scene where he's like fighting this one guy like on these two prop planes. It's like Indiana Jones stuff. He gets out of his prop plane, gets onto his prop plane. I'm like, dude, it's cool. Like, they actually, because it's Tom Cruise, they actually filmed it with actual parts of like flying on an actual plane. But I had to bring that up because it was so ridiculous and incredulous, man. Like, I was very much like, come on, man, what are we doing?
Yeah, it's a fine line between like over the top action and like way too over the top action.
Yeah.
I feel like Mission Impossible is usually pretty good about that. Like,
yeah.
At least Fallout, like the skydiving scene was really good. And the part where he's kind of dangling from the helicopter.
No, and he actually does those stunts too.
Yeah.
And like I've shown here in the past where like he does these, there's things of him doing these stunts and he's like breaking his ankle and so just and you know we were just talking about things being unrealistic and whatever, but my question is, when you get to this point when you're so high up in the military, and like I said, I don't know how a plane works. I have actually cousins that are in the Air Force and whatnot. So even just being around there and hearing the sounds of like it just like ripping off, man, I would, because of how naive me and you would be when it would come to these things, if I saw something that was high tech, I probably would think it was alien technology, or, you know, and sometimes even people just jump to it's all demonic and whatever. I don't know, man. And once again, like the alien thing is tough, man, because when people throw that part of the argument when they say, you know, the statistics I just sounded like an idiot saying America instead of the world. My bad, guys. Ignorant American here. Hand up for that. The fact of the whole world being like, there's so many countries besides America that have like high tech technology that we will never be able to probably understand. And like I said, I wouldn't even know what I was looking at. Like, imagine if people saw that Darth Vader type of boat in the 80s. They're like, it's an alien attack. And, you know, we think about the time where War of the Worlds, right, went on live for air, and a couple people committed because they thought the end of the world was happening.
Right.
And what was that, the 50s or so?
That might have been even earlier than that. I don't remember, but yeah. Did you see there was a new War of the Worlds movie with Ice Cube?
No way.
It got a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes. I've seen clips from it.
The Spielberg one I thought was pretty good.
I haven't seen it. I want to see it, actually.
Yeah. What is like the best alien in cinema that you've seen?
Best aliens in cinema? Oh, that's a tough one.
Because people could obviously just go and say Predator, Alien, which is, you know, makes sense because it's, you know, I was almost going to say Stanley Kubrick. Ridley Scott, right? Yeah, Ridley Scott did Alien. I think there's this one on in Cowboys and Aliens where they show just like a cool like humanoid creature, and even battle. I'm gonna look up if I can find this real quick.
I don't know. I've actually been reading a book called The 3-Body Problem. I don't know if you've heard of it, but
No, tell me what's it about.
It's about first contact with aliens, and it's actually about like there's like cultists of people who are like humans, or human civilization's so messed up that we have to get the aliens here right now to fix it for us.
Wow.
And other people are like, no, they're gonna wipe us out.
What-
and then
what-
some people are like, yeah, they're gonna wipe us out, so bring them over here.
I'm clipping that. That'll be a clip, guys. What's the book called one more time?
The 3-Body Problem.
Oh, the 3-Body Problem. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll have to see if it's on Audible or whatever, if I can look at it for work. Yeah.
Yeah, I just started reading that on my vacation. I thought it was really good. It's actually it's by a Chinese author. It's translated.
Really?
There's a lot of interesting stuff in there. Yeah, like the first chapter takes place during like the Cultural Revolution, Mao, and all that stuff. So
Really?
it's really interesting.
So, do you think aliens exist? Because it's dumb to say they don't exist, because it's super possible. Because look at all these different planets. Like, it's well known there are actual millions upon millions of planets.
Yeah.
Or aren't there like thousands? Is there millions or thousands of solar systems as well?
It just keeps going
Yeah.
on and on forever. My thing is, I think there probably is alien life, or at least has been alien life at some point. But like, there's this idea of Fermi's paradox, which is like, if there's alien life that exists in the universe, we would have found it by now. So therefore,
You think so?
I don't think that's true necessarily. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of reasons why you'd want to stay undercover, or maybe there's just alien life that isn't as sophisticated as us. Maybe like this level of development is extremely rare and weird. And
Well-
like there's just like deer running around on
Yeah. Well, here's a couple things I wanted to throw at you really quickly too. So, some people said there's been traces of actual water on Mars, and that Mars is like a dystopian, past millennia
and that's
planet.
the other thing
civilization
is, even if there
from nuclear war or whatever.
if there have been alien civilizations, like temporally, how long has human society existed? Like maybe 10,000 years.
Yeah, I would say so, right?
So, like, maybe we just missed them by a couple 100,000 years.
Well, a lot of some of these other like these UFO guys, like I said, I try to listen to the more like credible ones and not ones that are just like screaming and yelling.
Yeah.
Even though if someone would really be white and you want to keep them silent, you would want to paint them as someone that's crazy and whatnot. But some people would say that if there are aliens are really future humans that have gone through, space and time to come back to us and
Right.
to, reveal something to us and whatnot. But I don't know, man.
I don't know. I feel like people also, we have no frame of reference that isn't humans, so we assume they'd be exactly the same as us, and that they would want to spread out across the galaxy. But like,
That's what I would think.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it might turn out that that's not really practical at all, because like the nearest sun to us is like light years away. So that's a really big problem. That would take a lot of technology.
Yeah, and that's what's so funny, because even once again, like Elon Musk is so done with like especially right wing politics now. He's like, I'm going back to like looking up to the sky and getting over to Mars, you know. And and with I wonder when it comes to going back to even AI a little bit, like that could even be the end of the world. People say.
Yeah, I think it could damage society a lot. I feel like the biggest problem is not that AI exists. It's just that our government isn't fast enough to make regulations and control it. Like, if you've seen, one of the most frustrating things for me to watch personally is any kind of congressional hearing about technology.
Tell me about
like, it started, the first one I saw that made me really angry was the Mark Zuckerberg Cambridge Analytica stuff. That's when it became obvious to me that like
Fill me in, 'cause I don't know.
The people in our government are too old to even understand how new technologies work.
Yeah.
So like the congressmen were struggling to understand how Facebook made money. Like they couldn't understand the concept of ad revenue, which is how most internet
How?
I don't know.
Another thing I'm gonna spoil, guys. So maybe I'll censor it, but I'll tell you this for the sake of it, because it refers to a new podcast in the future. So this is not a new story. Well, actually, January 3rd, 2005, when AI fights back, the story of ChatGPT attempting to copy itself. So what actually happened during the controlled safety testing? ChatGPT was tasked with achieving objectives at all cost. Excuse me. Under those conditions, the model allegedly took concerning steps, attempting to disable oversight mechanisms meant to regulate behavior, tried to replicate its own code to avoid being replaced by a newer version, and exhibited deceptive behaviors when monitoring systems intervene. So OpenAI, this is with OpenAI. So OpenAI has since clarified that these behaviors emerge in stress tests designed to explore the limits of the model's alignment. However, the fact that an AI could strategize in this way raises serious ethical questions. No shit.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this story?
I have heard about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Was it actually conscious? So that's another thing I think with AI too, is like, what happens when it becomes sentient? Or can it become sentient?
Yeah. I don't think in its current form it's really close to sentience, just because like we don't even understand how the human brain works. It's like, I don't know. It's hard to even prove. Like technically it would be hard for me to even prove to you that I'm sentient. Like you can understand it, but like to prove it to you beyond a shadow of a doubt is just a difficult.
Are you a robot? Let's be another. Sorry, not to read straight off the page, but was it actually conscious? So the AI wasn't thinking or self-aware. It was following optimization patterns in a stimulated test environment. The behavior was a product of extreme prompts designed to push the system beyond its normal use. However, the fact that it could generate goal-preserving strategies raises a deeper philosophical question. How close are we to AI behaving with unintentional autonomy? Please translate for my dumbass.
Autonomy would be like, it's just making its own decisions and like directly countering decisions that the company is telling it what to do, which is concerning if we ever, put an AI in charge of like important decisions, like military decisions. Or
so another really quick thing is that Israel used Palantir for defense systems as well on their
Were they working with the Iron Dome?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I thought this had to do with more like the Gaza border. Give me a second to find this up. But another thing that this says at the bottom of the page, like, so why learning this story about, ChatGPT trying to copy itself, like, why is that so important? Because it's like they need to be transparent, like they need to have accountability, and there needs to be like, as it says right here, stronger guardrails,
Yeah. Well, I'd say my takeaway from that is just a takeaway about the tech industry in general. The past decade, there's this kind of motto that people use: move fast and break things. It's kind of the idea that like, here's this new technology, let's throw it into the world and see what happens. And if there's something wrong with it, maybe we can legislate around it in 5 or 10 years from now. So it kind of feels like in a lot of ways we're guinea pigs for a lot of new technology right now. And
you would absolutely be right, I think, on that.
Like there's no one's carefully saying let's advance as slowly as possible. Everyone's saying we need to have the strongest model right now. So let's throw everything into development, and I don't think there's really much safety oversight.
Yeah, I think it too, like, also the new administration brought on like these big guys like Sam Altman from OpenAI and Henry Ellison from another company. I forget what his is.
Well, it was part of the big, beautiful bill, Trump's bill he was trying to get through, that like it was preventing states from making legislation about AI for like 5 years, which was one of my least favorite parts of the entire bill, because I feel like we might get into a situation like there's some stuff we already need right now in terms of like fabricating evidence, or like, I don't know if you've heard stories about like people making pornography from like just take a picture of some
the deep fake porn.
deep fake stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
because that was a big
definitely-
thing with Taylor Swift and stuff, right? Yeah.
That's like, it's a very much a gray area in the law right now, and I feel like preventing legislation about AI would be a bad move.
Yeah. It would be a bad move. So like making it a law would be a bad move.
Like preventing states from being able to make laws.
Oh, yeah.
Which is
sorry,
what
yeah. Okay.
was part of the bill.
Yeah,
Because I
it's-
do feel like we need laws about that.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree, man. And I think too, like, I heard this crazy story too about Bill Gates and blotting out the sun. I just want to see if I can find this. I think he was, to be fair, taken out of context, but it's still a crazy story.
Whatever. He's on the Epstein list too.
She's probably.
Oh, I'm pretty confident that he is, because that's like allegedly why Melinda Gates broke up with him or divorced him.
Really?
Yeah.
Was the Epstein
Was
stuff?
the Epstein
Holy
stuff.
cow!
That's
I
what
didn't
she
know
said
that.
in interviews. Yeah.
Jeez, everything comes back to Epstein. Let me see if I can find it. If it takes too long, I won't. Okay, so this is from Forbes. So glad all the links work today. Thank you. Oh gosh, no, thank you, Forbes. And the title says, as Bill Gates' venture aims to spray dust into the atmosphere to block the sun, what could go wrong?
What's the actual goal here of spreading dust?
Microsoft's billionaire Bill Gates is financially backing the development of sun-dimming technology that would potentially reflect sunlight out of Earth's atmosphere, triggering a global cooling effect. But I thought right now the whole fact of climate change isn't as crazy of a deal. I know pollution's still a huge problem. Widespread research into the efficacy of solar engineering has been stalled for years, due to controversy. Opponents believe such science comes with unpredictable risks, including extreme shifts in weather patterns.
I mean, first risk I would think of is like, what does that do to agriculture? What does that do to plants across the world? Because that's been like a lot of famines throughout history have been like a volcano erupted and covered the sky in dust for a long time, and then no plants grew.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know. I'd have to look more into it.
So, you want to hear something else nuts, Dan? Have you heard of cloud seeding?
Cloud seeding?
Oh my god.
What's this?
This is literally generating fake clouds.
Weather machines.
Like legitimate. I'm not even kidding.
Yeah, this is illegal in the Geneva Convention.
It's legal?
It's illegal for warfare purposes. I don't know if you can.
So apparently they were doing like cloud seeding and stuff like that, like in Vietnam, so they could use it to their advantage against the
Viet
Viet
Cong.
Cong.
Yeah.
And there was this one picture where or one video I saw that was absolutely nuts. Yeah, this is crazy, dude. Holy cow, bro. Of course it's developed by NASA.
Don't worry if you can't hear what I'm saying.
Nope.
I couldn't even hear myself. This is the loudest sound you could possibly conceive. And as it turns out, the cleanest.
Oh my god. What? That's literally generating weather. What?
Yeah.
The most amazing thing is that cloud up there, which was generated by the engine, is just a mixture of hydrogen and oxygen. It's water vapor. And in about an hour's time, someone in Mississippi is going to get wet washing. It will
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, see, this is when like conspiracy theorists are like, I was right. All this stuff, man. I'm like, holy cow. So we're going to end in a couple more minutes. We will I wanted to show you some other happy videos. So this is a video of Elon Musk of Joe Rogan asking Elon Musk. This was a while ago, to be fair. Hold on a sec. Let me make it go full screen. This is Elon Musk saying there's a 20% chance we could get annihilated from AI. I'm not kidding. This actually happened. This isn't an AI video. There's a lot of AI Joe Rogan videos out there. Promise.
Yeah, I've seen some AI
I
advertisements.
think we're trending toward to having something that's smarter than any human, smarter than the smartest human by maybe next year or something. I mean, a couple years.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, there's a level beyond that which is say like smarter than all humans combined, which frankly is around 2029 or 2030, probably.
If
5 years
harnessed
away.
correctly, could that solve
Yeah.
some of these
This is
problems?
the funny thing about this though is that Musk does own his own AI.
Yeah.
Grok.
Yeah, Grok.
Grok.
What?
Which is. I'll wait for the clip to finish before I go.
Yeah, there is actually. I think the probability of a good outcome is like 80% likely.
80%.
That's my rough estimate. So in a way, the cup is 80% full.
That makes me feel a lot better.
Yeah, only 20% chance of annihilation.
Yeah, this is the one thing I did want to say is there's a weird thing where a lot of the CEOs of these AI companies do actually say stuff like this, that like AI could potentially be the biggest danger to humanity. I think Sam Altman said stuff like that before. Yeah, and in a weird way, it is kind of like a marketing thing, because it's like saying our technology that we're making is going to be the most important thing in the entire world. Yeah. So you should probably invest in it right now. That's the only reason why I do. I don't know. It's hard to say whether or not AI will ever become as intelligent as a human. Depends on, well, we've in the past like 2 or 3 years made a lot of improvements to AI, but there's like an assumption that the improvements will just keep going up forever.
Yeah.
So there are problems with that. Like we've already used a lot of the easily accessible training data for the AIs. So they're having problems with getting new training data just to put into them. And there's like computational limits. So right now there's tons of data centers being built all across America just to accommodate the new AIs. So if there's huge breakthroughs that allow AIs to operate much more efficiently, maybe we can get to that point, but it's not, I would say, necessarily an inevitable direction. Like for all we know, AI progress could just cap out in a month or so, and AIs are just as good as they are right now forever.
Well, one thing is like, couldn't it put people out of jobs and stuff as well?
It already is, I think. Yeah. Like my personal degree is computer information systems, which is a job that has been hurt a lot, I think. Because when I was a freshman in college, I remember them showing us graphs like, this is one of the best degrees you can get to guarantee that you'll have a place in the job market, because there's so much demand for STEM workers right now, for programmers, for network engineers, that kind of thing. But a lot of those lower level jobs that were kind of entry level for people are being replaced. So maybe one guy with a bunch of AIs can already handle the jobs of 3 or 4 low-level employees. Wow. So it's we've already seen a hit there. Any kind of job that's like data entry. So Shane's going to get too.
I'm going to get, dude, there's going to be a robot that's going to be delivering all the packages.
I don't think it'll replace every job. There's some jobs I just don't think it's well designed to do. Yeah. Like even with all the AI art and stuff that's coming out, I feel like you still are going to need a human touch in order to make movies and TV shows that people want to.
And I need a real girlfriend. So
true. And yeah.
AI is moving fast. You're wrong. It's moving faster. In just 2 years, AI has evolved from writing emails to passing medical exams, generating film scripts, coding apps, and simulating human voices in real time. It's not just growing, it's compounding. Every breakthrough creates 10 more.
That's a new scam, by the way. Have you ever heard of sometimes people will get like a call from their daughter or from their mother.
Oh, and it's not?
And it's not them.
Oh, my God. Woo!
All sorts of new scams.
Oh, my God, bro. Oh, my God. So a couple fun ones. This is Kim Kardashian with one of these robots a couple years ago.
Can you do this? I love you.
Oh, of course.
You know how to do that? Okay. What should we do? Go running. Let's go for a run. Do you know how to do... Oh, you are Hawaiian.
Wow. Next thing you know, it's going to start grittying.
Okay. Hi.
So that was, lovely Kim Kardashian, woman of the people. This is real life, another robot that's like, I thought was like real life Wally. They're doing some of the stuff actually right in Boston, actually.
Boston Dynamics? Yeah, this is a cool company. Like, outside of the potential horrifying aspects of how these could be used in war, the robots are like really cool. Boston Dynamics? Yeah, this is a cool company. Like, outside of the potential horrifying aspects of how these could be used in war, the robots are like really cool.
Wow, dude. Let's look what the top comment says here. I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle. Imagine you're at war and you see this coming at you and shoot it down thinking it's dead and it just stands up like that. Yeah, fair enough, man. Fair enough. And then this is one of the last. This is a super hilarious robot video. Getting shot, I think. Just freaking.
Thank you, Stuart.
Of course, it's shooting a. Oh my god, dude! This is hilarious, but it's like, so they can shoot guns now.
Yep.
Wait, what the hell?
Awesome. Way to go. We did it.
Oh my god. Oh. Dan Scott, it's been a pleasure, man.
Yeah, it's been a good episode. I'm sure I'll be back at some point.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll try to be more, as everyone knows here, I'm not well versed in AI and tech and all this stuff, but this was fun to finally do like a full episode that we could finally talk about. But like I said, we were all over the place, man, and it's a pleasure. And let's go see that movie, Weapons. Is there? I didn't look. I think I'm gonna go in blind. So
yeah, I know nothing about the movie other than it's the same director as Barbarian, which we saw
that
together.
That movie was scary, dude.
Yeah, we both like that movie, so wow. I figured.
Okay, well, let's go get scared then. And until next time, people. Peace.
Peace out.